so for my next one, I'm going to do this guy right here. This is my Wally wing parachute. And for the tails, I'm using micro fibbits on this. And then I'm using a goose buyout for the body. The thorax is super fine dubbing. And then I've got a brown dun saddle hackle for the legs, and the wings are turkey flats. So for this one, I'm using the same thread. It's a nano silk in 18/0 in brick beige. And
is the other fly 18/0 too?
Yeah, yeah. 18. Let's see. There we go. Is that better? Okay. So for this fly, I've already started thread, but you had started at the eye and then kind of come down about halfway and then come back another halfway, and that'll give you 3/4, and that's position for the wing. Now for this pattern, I tie the wing in first, and to choose the wing, I'm using these turkey flats. And so I'm going to select a feather that has a relatively smaller stem and longer fibers. Like this. This one's a pretty good one. So, and how I do that is I strip the fluffy stuff off it first. So I've got this. Now, feather prep with this pattern is pretty important. The turkey flats are a little bit stronger than some of the other feathers that are commonly used with this style of wing. The duck flanks is what's usually used for the wings on the Wally wings, but I use turkey flats because they're a little bit stronger. But because they're a little bit stronger, they're also harder to work with. So what I'm doing is I'm just kind of trying to get all these overlapped fibers flattened out first, and then I'm going to take about that much of the feather, and I'm going to bring everything back like this. I'm just going to preen everything back, but I'm going to leave this top piece on. I need it for later. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hold the tip and then the back of the feather, and I'm going to take my fingernail, and kind of rake it on the underside of the feather backwards. And what I'm doing is I'm folding the fibers down and back. And I'm doing that on both sides. So I've got something like this. And then I'm going to kind of coax these back a little bit further and try to line up the fibers so I don't have any overlapping fibers. So it looks like this. Now what I'm going to do is kind of pinch up and back these feathers, and I'm going to expose a piece about that much to measure for the wing length. I want the wing length about the hook length. So from the tip right here to about right here is where I'm looking for my length. And what I'm going to do now instead of just tying it in, I'm going to come in with my scissors once I found my length, and I'm going to cut the stem, because I don't need to tie the stem in. And I'm not tying the stem in for the reason of minimizing bulk. So I've got my wing. And now I'm going to measure, I'm going to do a pinch wrap. A couple turns to lock that in. And a couple turns up front. And then I'm going to remove the excess. And then I'm just going to come back and clean up the butt section. And now, see, I got that just a little bit long. I don't want to tie the stem in, but I want the stem to sit on the hook like this, vertical on the hook. So when I bring it back, the stem should sit on the hook, like that. Now I'm going to come through, and traditionally when you wrap a parachute post, you'll go clockwise around it because you wrap your hackle clockwise, right? Well, I found that tying these, if you post the wing clockwise, it'll spin the wing. So I'm going to counter that by going counterclockwise to post the wing, because when I tie in my hackle and I wrap my hackle, the tension on the hackle is going to spin the wing right way, right ways out. So I'm coming counterclockwise to post that, and I'm not going to post the wing very far, maybe about an eye's width. I'm ready for my tails, and for the tails I'm going to be using micro fibbits. So I'm going to bring my thread down to the tie-in spot for the tails. I'm going to use split tails on this. So here's the micro fibbits, and this is a dun or dark dun color. I'm just going to take 3 of them. So here's the tails, and I'm going to tie them in so that they're slightly longer than the hook. I'd rather have them be a little longer than shorter. So, and again, like the Coq de Leon, I'm going to run my fingernail up the backside of the hook and lift those tails, and it splits them at the same time. So now all I have to do is come through, and I'm going to do the near side first. 1 turn and then a lock turn. and then I'm going to come down the far side to split the far side. And then a lock turn, and that splits the far side, and then I'm going to come around all of them to lift the center, and then a couple lock turns, and that creates the split tails. They'll never come together, and they'll never come back together. They'll be split like that permanently. I'm just going to come down and trim the butt those tail butts of the microfibbits right to the butt section of the wing. So, because I have a little bit of a bump between the butt section of the wing and the body, I'm going to put just a touch of dubbing, just a little bit of dubbing right there to help give me a taper, body taper. It's all going to be covered up with a biot anyway, so I'm just helping with that so that there's not a definite bump. And now for the body on this, I'm going to use, again with the goose biot. You could use turkey as well. And I'm going to moisten it. And then tie that in by the tip right there at the base of the tail. Now to give a little bit of security to that biot, I'm going to use a little bit of this hardest hole. And I'm just going to put a touch of that on the body. Now I'm going to wrap the biot. With overlapping turns, I don't want to expose those, I don't want those ridges to show. I want a nice, smooth, flat body. Just tying that off and then remove the excess. Now I'm ready for the hackle, and what I'm using is a brown dun saddle hackle. It's by Whiting. And how I'm gonna prepare that feather is that I want the feather fibers, because when they come off the stem, they're concaved, right? So I want those fibers to curve down instead of up. And how I do that is I take the feather like this, and then I stand up some of these fibers like this, and then I expose a part for the tie-in. Now these feathers are going to, the feathers is going to want to turn, take the path of least resistance. So to make sure that these fibers are going to be pointed down, I want the top side to be, or the shiny side to be up, with the fibers coming down. So in order to do that, I'm going to influence the way that hackle is going to turn by doing that. And that way, when I wrap, that first turn is going to have bare stem, and it's going to want to take the path of least resistance, so it's going to turn the way I want it to go. So I'm going to tie the hackle in. And then I'm going to come behind, and then I'm going to post the hackle up with the post, and I'm going clockwise this time. And then I'm going to end with my thread right up front. Now the same dubbing that I used for the help with the ramp, I'm going to use again for the thorax, and this is Semperfli Superfine. I'm just going to take a little bit of that, and you don't need a whole lot, but I'm just going to dub right here. Now I'm going to start dubbing about halfway between the post and the eye of the hook, and I'm going to dub towards the eye of the hook, give a turn, and then I'm going to start coming back. And I'm developing a reverse taper from the eye back to the post. I didn't get quite enough on there. And then I'm going to fill that little void in the back behind, and then I'm going to come back and forth, back and then forth. Okay, and then I've got my thread on the back side of the post and on the far side, and I'm just going to take one complete turn around the base of the post, the wing, and then I'm going to leave my thread at the back of the post. Now I'm ready to wrap the hackle. Now because how I oriented that hackle, that first turn is right exactly how I want it. And I'm just going to take one turn under the other, one turn under the other, one turn under the other. And let's see, I'll do one more. Okay, now to tie that off, I'm keeping tension on your feather. You don't want to lose it or release it because it'll unravel. My thread's parked on the back side of the post on the far side from me. So what I'm going to do is bring the thread up and then come up underneath, and then I'm going to drop my feather back and then continue out one revolution. Now that hackle's tied off. Now I'm going to rotate my vise and give one more turn, and then I'm going to whip finish right around the post. And then close the loop with my bodkin. Now that knot's not super tight, so how I'm going to tighten it is I'm just going to keep tension on my thread, and then I'm just going to rotate my vise back while keeping tension on the thread. And that just tightened up the knot, the whip finish. Now, if I did it right, I should need scissors to take my my hackle off. I can just pop it off. Now, but I do need my scissors to take the thread off because the thread will actually break the hook. So once again, I'm just putting a little V in there. And then push it through. Now to set the wing, this is the moment of truth part. And this is why I didn't cut this top piece off. I got to separate this top piece. And I'm going to peel that down. And I'm going to do that on both sides. So essentially I have this so far. Now this stem, just come through with my scissors and remove the stem.
At 1 o'clock in the Adventure Theater, we have Solitary Angler, Wally fly fishing without the crowd, and Beecher. Come and see.
And then I'm going to clip these pieces here for my wing. And now I'm just going to kind of play with this a little bit and try to even up those ridges. There it is. I'll put a drop of head cement on the thread wraps at the base of the wing post. That's my finished Wally wing parachute. Questions? All right.
You're the best there is. You practice maybe with
Yeah, I would recommend doing that. The turkey flats are it's a rigid feather. It's a stronger feather too, and because they're stronger, it's also more difficult to work with. Traditionally, I'm not sure who came up with the Wally wing. It wasn't me, unfortunately. I can't claim that, but it was traditionally used with duck flank. So, the duck flank has longer fibers, and it's a little more supple of a material. So you can manipulate it. It's easier to work with.
Do you use that thread for most of your flying?
Yeah, you know, this nano silk has revolutionized my fly tying. It has replaced almost everything I've got. I like this spider thread as well. The spider thread is very similar to Vivus. It's a 2-strand twist thread, so it's real similar to a Vivus, but it's nowhere near as strong as nano silk. And but yeah, I use the nano silk in 18 and then 12-aught as well, and then I've got it in 6-aught. I use the 6-aught for bigger flies, and then I have some 3-aught as well for hair spinning. Like spinning and stacking hair. All right, thanks guys. Thanks for coming.